Okay, at the wheel, I have my pegs right in here and in my wheel. And then I just take this wheel, this wheel assist system board, and I use the large slot, and I line the large slot up first. It's easy. And then I just slide the little slot on. And then this centerpiece goes in, and then I go get my plate form. This is my 9.5-inch plate form, as you can see. And I just center that on the top. Fits in nice and snug, and I'll get my clay. Now I'm bringing it over on the sheetrock, and then I'm just going to flip the sheetrock over with my hand here and center that on the plate. And then I'm going to, with my fingers, just gently pull it away from the sheetrock. There. And peel the sheetrock away, like this. There. Then I'm going to do a nicer job centering this. So what I want to make sure is that this is centered on the wheel, you know, as best I can. And then I want to make sure there are no air bubbles underneath the clay, between the clay and the form. And then I gently pull up the edge and kind of work the clay into the form a little bit, just gently. Kind of easing in that shape into the clay. In a gentle way, not in a hard way, because if you do it in a quick, hard way, sometimes the clay will have a vulnerable spot. Okay, so that's a little bit better. I think I can even make it a little bit better. So I'm just gently pulling it in even closer, lifting the side to give it some ease, so I can ease it in better. Okay, so that's in pretty good. And I'll just take my red rib, which is pretty soft rib, and just run it over. I like to use a tiny bit of water. Just run it over the top of the clay, both smoothing out the fabric impression that was left when we had it on the slab roller, and also compressing. Trying to get a nice flat piece of clay. And once I get that done, I'm going to go ahead to the side and just kind of gently push it in, gentle at first, kind of easing it into the corner where the form meets the wheel assist system. And then I'm going to come out to the edge and just sort of flatten that out a little bit. I might use a little bit of moisture here just to help easing it in. So I'm kind of flattening it out, but I'm also pulling it a little bit in towards the form. There. One more time. Working my way up the side of the form. Really going for a nice, smooth finish on the clay. This will be the underside of the plate. And then I'm coming out to the edge, and I'm just going to take a tiny bit of clay off so I have a nice, perfect circle. So I'm just going to start it here. I'm holding it with two hands so it won't wiggle or move. And then when I hear it hit the edge, I just go ahead and cut it right off. So you can see the edge of the wheel assist system. Next step is to use this handy dandy tool I keep showing you all the time and I love so much. If you have questions about it, just DM me. I've talked about it a million times. I'm just going to go ahead and make my foot mark. I'm going to come out here and make my foot. Just like that. And then I use my needle tool in the last groove of the foot mark, and I just go ahead and start turning the wheel. Okay, that's all the way around. So I'm just going to cut it. There we go. And I'll put a little bit of moisture here so I can join the two pieces. Here we go. And then I just take the edge of my foot and bring it around this way. And what I'm doing is taking the edge of the foot and I'm lining it up with the inner circle. And this will give me a little more light so I can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see too. Okay, and I'm just going to cut off the excess clay so that it's out of my way. And just turn this a little bit. And take a look and make sure I've got it exactly where I want it. And I can see when I push it a little bit, I can see that the water that's joining the two surfaces is squeezing out a little bit. Here we go. And I like the way that's seated, so I'm just going to take my pin tool and just cut at an angle straight down. Remove the pieces I don't need. There we go. And I take my handy dandy little tool. I'm going to burnish. I'm going to just put some grooves and some moisture into these two pieces that I'm going to want to connect. And then I'm going to gently encourage them into place. Okay. That's almost how I want it. So I'm just going to give it a rub on both sides. Now it is a little wiggly there, so just kind of ease in that. There we go. Now as this goes around, I'm just tapping it gently to just sort of seat it. I'm using my hand to move the wheel. Just tapping it. Oop, that one was not seated, so I'm going to work here a little bit longer. And just see that? Great, I like it. Then I take my sponge and get it nice and wet, and get my other hand nice and wet. And this finger goes on the top, and this sponge and this hand wraps around the side. And in that way, I'm kind of compressing it into place. Give me a little bit more moisture here. At first going slow, really trying to seat both pieces of clay together. And then as I feel it's secure and not going to move, then I'll go a little bit faster. And I'm going to come up the side here, get rid of some of that moisture. Come up the side and make a nice edge on the side, exactly where I want the clay to be. And that kind of encourages the foot around. Then I'm coming across the top of the foot and down into the groove with my sponge. I have my thumb on the outside, still keeping the foot exactly where I want it to be. And now I'm encouraging it around the inside, and now it's just about perfect. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and clean up the slit, get it out of the way. This is the 9.5-inch plate. I made the 11-inch plates earlier, and I want the rim on this plate to be a little bit smaller than the 11-inch plate. So I'll show you how I do that. Just get this nice and cleaned up. There we go. Trying to scrape off the slip to give it a little bit more of a dry feel. It will help me with drying time and cracking, the inevitable cracking. Okay, and now at this point I have a fairly large rim. I have a fairly large rim here, so I'm going to want to reduce this rim, and it will be simple to do. I'm just going to use my needle tool to choose the spot, but what I like to do is measure it. So let me see if I can find my measuring device quickly. Here it is, toolbox. Typical. Okay. All right, since it fell on the floor, I'm going to wipe it real well. Here we go. Okay, and then I just want to measure this. And I think what I would like to see here is maybe 1 inch, maybe 3/4. So this tool starts measuring here. So I'm visually lining it up with where the side meets the rim. So it's right about there. Okay, and 1 inch would be here, and that might be okay. I might go with 1 inch. Let's give it a try. Hold this with both hands so it doesn't slip and slide on me. Hopefully you can see that without my big head in the way. Okay. All right, so I've reached the wheel assist system. I'll just remove this out of the way. There we go. And at this point, I'm going to use my sponge, kind of get the bits out of the way, the bits that are trying to disrupt the edge. And then I like to use this little bit of suede to give my edge a really beautiful, nice, smooth edge. And that is the whole process for using the wheel assist system. Here we go. I'll just put a board on top, and I flip it over like this, and I take it over to the table, and I just let it set at the table a little bit till it starts to firm up a little bit, and then I can remove the this portion of the wheel assist system from it and reuse them. This is a fantastic process, and you can make many plates very quickly, and that's partially why I love it, because I really love to try different MKM tools to give me different textures, and then to see the beautiful Celadon glaze. I use a lot of Amico glaze, the beautiful Celadon glaze, how it leaves, you know, darker areas in the lower areas and really helps define the texture, and I can't wait to show that to you. So thanks for hanging out with me.